Why do I happen to do that all the time? Let's see here. All right. I know I'm here now, and I apologize about that. It's become a weekly occurrence, much like this analysis spoiler breakdown thing that I've been doing for the last couple of weeks. Welcome, guys. Jay Wolfie, King of the Hills 34. Mark McKeever, thank you for the heads up, my friend. We got Patrick McCabe. Abdul Rahman Dingy. Apologies if I messed that up. And thank you very much for stopping by. And again, thank you very much for letting me know that the audio wasn't on. So, Invincible. You guys watching it? I see several of you are. I also see King of the Hills 34 is not. And, it's a good show. I was not really someone who was hotly anticipating this series before it came out. In fact, I didn't even really know that it was coming until it was released. And when I found out that there was an adaptation of the comic book series, which was written by Robert Kirkman, the guy that's responsible for The Walking Dead, and that Evan Goldberg and Seth Rogen were going to be producing it, I was like, oh, cool. We kind of already know we're in good hands. They're responsible for Preacher on AMC. They went on to do The Boys on Amazon Prime, and now they're attached to this. And also with Robert Kirkman's style, you kind of know what to expect. And one thing I like about Robert Kirkman, similar to George R.R. Martin, is that with his characters, anyone can get it at any time. There are no characters that have plot armor, and I really like that. I think that that's what keeps shows tense and suspenseful throughout, because if you're familiar with archetypes and writing tropes and things like that, you can almost always assume that your main character is going to be impervious because they've got to make it through to the end of the story. Every once in a while you get a subversion of that, like The Departed or Psycho or something, where or maybe even 2014's Godzilla with Bryan Cranston, but it's set up where one character is going to be the hero and then it ends up another is. But most of the time you start with the character that you end with. And with Robert Kirkman, it's not always like that. Think about Glenn, it's happened time and time again where they build someone up and then they snatch them away from you unfairly, like the Red Wedding in Game of Thrones. But the Invincible series has several of the same cast members of The Walking Dead, including the actor that plays Glenn, which is Steven Yeun, and he was in the movie. What was it called? Where everybody goes crazy it was called Mayhem. And he was in that, and he's very good, and I like him a lot in this. So if you're not familiar with the story of Invincible, it sounds very cliche when I explain it to you. Shout out to Julio Diaz of Let's Go Pensacola, based here in Pensacola, on the radio channel 92.3 every Saturday at 4 p.m., because he's the one that kind of pushed me in the direction of watching the series so that we could discuss it on a weekly recap over on his show. And when I first started it, I was like, man, this feels a lot like the animated version of The Boys. We've kind of got spins on tropey characters. They're all very similar to the way that you would see the Avengers or the Justice League or something like that. They're almost analogs for each of the characters, similar to the way that The Boys is. And I'm like, how is this going to stand on its own and be distinct enough? And as I got further into it, I can definitely see how it's its own thing. It isn't a complete ripoff of The Boys. It's definitely got elements of Spider-Man, elements of maybe Superman, and then definitely elements of The Walking Dead as well. It's interesting because at times it almost feels that the art style kind of clashes with the material, because when you look at it at first glance, most of the frames of it, it looks like it could be, a Fox Kids show similar to Black Lightning or something like that. Was that CW? I don't know, doesn't matter. Point is, it looks like it's for young kids, and then all of a sudden you get these scenes where it is not that. It is gory and violent, and like I said, it's full of shocking deaths. Very true to Robert Kirkman's style. What's up, guys? Think they nailed the show. Can't wait for season 2. What's up, Derek Benson? Love the show. I know you're unimpressed of the animation, but it didn't distract me from enjoying the show. I'm glad you mentioned that, Mark, because as I was watching the finale of the series again, I was thinking limited animation doesn't necessarily have to mean unimpressive animation, because I do like the style. And one thing that I can appreciate is they use the higher frame rates when it matters the most. A lot of times it's what I would consider efficient animation as opposed to bad or sloppy animation. And anime does that shit all the time, where it's just like a 2/3 angle shot of a character's face super tight, and the only thing that's moving in the entire frame is their mouth, and then every once in a while their eyes will blink. So I'm not unimpressed with the animation style. I did definitely notice that they are frugal with the amount of frames that they use, but that in itself is kind of impressive. So yeah, I don't want to say I misspoke, because I still do stand behind the fact that the animation is underplayed, but I kind of appreciate it more now. So maybe that makes sense. The voice acting is on key. Absolutely agreed. Very much agreed on that. I kind of wish I would have put an outline together so that way I could kind of stay on track, but I didn't. And here we are, guys. Here we are. I'm going to pull it up on Wikipedia so I can try to organize myself here. I know that I wanted to talk to you about the synopsis of the series before I got sidetracked there about 5-6 minutes ago. Invincible is an American adult animated superhero television series based on the comic book series of the same name by Robert Kirkman, which premiered on Amazon Prime on March 25th, 2021 to critical acclaim. The series stars Steven Yeun, Sandra Oh, and J.K. Simmons as Omni-Man. Chef's kiss to that performance. The series was renewed for a second and third season, so we know that there's more to come. And I can't wait to see what goes next, because at the end of the finale, we definitely get an eyeful of potential storylines that could be playing out here in the future and beyond. Like, there's so much shit going on that they could get into, and that's exciting. It's almost like I forgot a lot of the plot threads as the series ended, and I was like, oh yeah, all that shit happened, and we don't know where it's going. Like Battle Beast is fucking scary, dude. Omni-Man is scary. Omni-Man is very scary. Yeah. Let's see here. Very much looking forward to the second season, says Scooby Snacks. What's up? Welcome to the conversation. Nick Mayfield is in the house. We got Damok. I watched this completely blind from a friend's recommendation. My jaw dropped to the floor at the end of episode 1. Binged it so hard and loved this. Keen for new seasons. Yes, the end of episode 1 is already a showstopper. You're like, what the fuck? And that's when you realize what kind of show it is at that point. All right, let's see. Mark Grayson is a normal teenager, except for the fact that his father, Nolan, is the most powerful superhero on the planet. Shortly after his 17th birthday, Mark begins to develop powers of his own and enters into his father's tutelage. Tutelage, man, great word. This is a word that you don't get to use enough in everyday conversations. Tutelage. Welcome to Movies Are Terrible. I appreciate you coming to listen to this podcast and be under my tutelage for just a little bit. I got sidetracked again. The Grayson family. Steven Yeun is Mark Grayson / Invincible, the hero and the main character. Finally gaining his long-awaited powers at 17 years old, Mark discovers the harsh realities of superherodom and struggles to define himself. He's shown to have a berserker side when fighting the Flaxans and Machine Head's villains, revealed to be a true Viltrumite trait by his father. All right, cool. I'm not going to read the whole Wikipedia to you guys. No, Caleb, I don't think did watch the show, Jay Wolfie. So, the Grayson family. Well, already we got a little nod to comic books, right? He's very much a protege of a father figure, much in the way that Dick Grayson is a protege of a Bruce Wayne / Batman as a father figure. Omni-Man is very clearly a parallel of Superman, albeit a very dark take on Superman, which, to be fair, we've actually seen before and very recently with Amazon Prime's The Boys. But again, very effective. This is great, and J.K. Simmons plays this character and does it incredibly well. There is a tinge of sadness to his darkest moments, and a tinge of darkness to his most positive moments on screen. And I think that, for an animated series, and one that doesn't rely very, very heavily on highly animated facial expressions in a way that maybe Disney does or something like that, they are very good at conveying a range of emotions. And that is thanks fully to a great voice cast. And J.K. Simmons as Omni-Man, definitely one of the standouts. And I actually think Steven Yeun is great as Mark. And this really is a superhero origin story, almost in a traditional sense. As Mark enters adolescence, he starts to develop superpowers. He's going to school, and now he's got this extra responsibility of being a superhero, and how that affects your day-to-day social life and your dating life. And yeah. We've heard it all before. You know what I mean? It's all got a little bit of that vibe. And at first I'm like, okay, still, like, what's the hook? What's the thing about it? And the first episode goes on, and you get introduced to the Guardians of the Globe, actually, at the very beginning. And the Guardians of the Globe are very much the Justice League. They've got characters like Adam Eve, Rexplode, Duplicate, Shrinking Ray, Monster Girl, Black Samson, and those are kind of the replacements of the original Justice League, which was War Woman, voiced by Lauren Cohen, who you might know as Maggie from Game of Thrones. Green Ghost was voiced by Sonequa Martin Green, who I believe is I'm not going to be able to think of her name right now, but the girl from Star Trek, I think. Chad Coleman as Martian Man. Michael Cudlitz as Red Rush. Lenny James as Darkwing. The Immortal. Some other ones. Aquarius. And at the end of episode 1, Omni-Man just runs through the whole lot of them. Just destroys them. And you're like, oh shit. And I don't mean just like beats him up or beats him to death. Like, he fucking punches through him, tears limbs, and it's insanely violent. And once the first episode ends, you're like, oh, that's really dark, and I don't understand why this character, who's seemingly, here as a protector of Earth, would do this to these beloved heroes. So I got to stick around and figure out why. And that's pretty much the narrative thrust of season 1, is why the fuck is he doing this? One of the characters that I kind of wish we would have seen more from, and I'm sure coming in future seasons we'll see more of him, but Damien Darkblood, is that his name? The Hellboy Rorschach detective character. Let's see. Let me go back a little bit, see what's going on in here. Jay Wolfie says there's a live-action movie coming out separate from the series. I did not know that. That's cool. The subway scene in episode 8 had my jaw dropped and arms in the air for the whole time. For real, dude. Oh, man. Yeah, we'll circle back around to that, because that's one of the biggest stunners of the whole season. So we'll definitely talk about that. It was pretty good. Can't wait for season 2 and 3, says DS Toaster. Let's see. Welcome to the conversation, DS Toaster. My favorite character moment was Robot and all of that cool stuff with him getting a new body and revealing his backstory. That was some juice character development. It was. And that was some of the more interesting kind of questions of ethics of the entire series. Is like, Monster Girl, that's kind of like, is she 26 or is she 12? And then with Robot, well, now that he's in the body of a kid, but he's not a kid, but is it okay? You know what I'm saying? It's a whole thing. I don't know, but I thought it was interesting because I was thinking about it at different times. I'm like, This is really bringing up some interesting ethical questions. Wasn't expecting that from an animated series. Let's see. But yes, great moment. And I really appreciate what they're doing with that and kind of moving forward. There is definite growth in the characters. They're not in the same place now that they were at the beginning of season 1. And already to see that kind of dynamic shift in characters, I think is interesting because oftentimes characters begin and end in similar places. Moving forward into future seasons, I'm curious to see how well they're able to do that. Because as I'm sitting here saying this out loud, I'm like, oh, you're kind of wrong in some situations, like Breaking Bad, right? Walter White is very much not just a chemistry teacher at the end of season 1. Bye, Patrick Stewart. Thanks for coming by, dude. Thanks for coming by. The robot story was very good. Had me worried he would be a villain for a bit. Scooby Snacks, agreed. That was my initial thought is, oh, he's clearly an evil robot. And the fact that they subverted that, it's pretty cool. Oh, his true form, that was upsetting, right? This is some gross looking shit. It reminded me of like Basket Case or something. Is this the most obscenely huge water bottle you've ever seen, or what? Arjun says, this is my personal favorite show of the year. I love the action, the gore is great, and the train scene was too horrible. It almost made me tear up for Mark. Favorite of the year. I love it. I definitely think it was one of the standouts. There were some good series. I might be hard pressed to think of too many better, other than clearly WandaVision and Winter Soldier are two that people are talking about. I guess Winter Soldier or Falcon and Winter Soldier was more divisive than I thought it was. I thought it was going to be universally loved. I thought it was great. Apparently not everybody did. I mean, I had critiques with it, but that's not what we're here to talk about. Invincible, very few critiques in it, other than, as I said, it feels a little derivative at times, but it finds ways to continue to be shocking and subversive. And I don't mean subversion in the way that you might think of with Rian Johnson. It's just like so many, ooh, fuck moments that it's hard not to even respect it, you know? At least for me, every episode, there's at least one moment where you're like, oh, that's crazy. And, we've seen a lot in animated series. And if you watch anime, you've seen a lot. And the fact that this is able to continue to be surprising is pretty cool. Even if it is, at times, a little derivative. Ross Marquand plays the Immortal in it as well. So that's cool. His true identity, the Immortal was Abraham Lincoln. I don't even remember that. That's cool. Walton Goggins is in it. Seth Rogen plays Alan the alien from the Coalition of Planets. A great character, one of my favorites. And his conversation with Mark or Invincible at the end of season 1, episode 8 was phenomenal. That's where we're kind of seeing where things are going. And he's setting up all of these huge conflicts that are coming to Earth, essentially, or maybe he's going to have to go out into the galaxy to go defend the Earth. But at the very end, he's like, but first I got to finish high school. And you're like, this is still a kid. And that's kind of the whole thing. All this bleak, terrible shit happening against the backdrop. It's my #1 comic book series, even above The Boys, says Jay Wolfie. I think. Let's see. Yes. Mark could be a little right, but there's a lot more to the show than that. Oh, Mark, I almost touched on that point a moment ago, so I think that's cool. I don't dislike the high school drama aspect of it, but I do understand where he's coming from. I think it's a fair critique. I try to say all critiques are fair. I might not necessarily agree that that's enough to push the show into the area of being negative, but I certainly can appreciate somebody that says, yeah, I've seen all that shit before, because it does feel a lot like Spider-Man if Spider-Man was done by, I don't know, some edgy Image Comics guy. You know what I mean? Like, if Spider-Man in the 90s was at Image Comics or Valiant or Dark Horse or something like that, I feel like you could definitely see that similar thing. And to answer Damek's question, have you read the comic books? No. Anyone in the chat? I personally haven't, but the show has made me want to check it out while waiting for the new seasons. My buddy Josh brought the first couple of issues into the job that he and I worked at together back in 2008, 2005. I don't remember exactly when the comic book series came out, but he brought them up to the subway that we were working at, and we read them and checked them out. So I've seen a little bit of it, but I didn't keep up with it. I think there's like 9 volumes or some shit. There's a lot of them. So no, I have not read the comic books, but I would definitely be interested in it. Scooby Snacks says, I am still unsure of if Cecil will turn out to be a bad guy or not. The small scene he had at the end of episode 8 with the army of cyborgs sparks some questions. Scooby Snacks, I agree with you, and I thought the same thing. It seemed, especially towards the end of season 1, that Cecil was kind of having I don't want to say an about face, but he started trending towards the side of being more good. However, one of the things that I really like about Invincible, and one of the things that I think it does well, along with series like Game of Thrones, The Walking Dead, The Boys, is we're keeping things a little more morally ambiguous. It's hard for anybody to be good or bad when everybody's got blood on their hands, but even the worst of them are kind of thinking they're doing things for the right reasons. Like even Omni-Man, he believes himself to be morally just and for the greater good outside the context of humanity, right? And I also like the subtext about colonialism and imperialism. I think that's pretty big shit for a comic book cartoon series to be taken on, but they're going there, they're exploring it. Stay hydrated, people. It's important. Stay hydrated out there. So morally ambiguous characters. I don't know if Cecil's going to come out on one side or the other of this. Mark and his friends seem to be, and Mark's mother seem to be some of the few like altruistic characters in the series. I really liked the way Rock Dude overthrew the other rival faction of criminals. That was super cool. And when he came back at that last little montage in episode 8, I was like, oh yeah, that's a whole cool thing that we can see in the future. Let's see. I saw one a moment ago. Sorry for the slow response time. Scooby Snacks, and I still want to know how he got those damn scars. Yeah, it was probably a fucking cat or a flurkin, you know? Not a regular cat, space cat, which makes it way less cheeseball somehow. All right, let's see here. Yeah, I'm thinking of waiting too. I get more hype than books, comics. Dante S. says the high school drama critic is valid. Great show though, or critique, is valid. Great show though. Bring back Battle Beast. Battle Beast, a lot of alliteration there. I like that. Bring back Battle Beast. Let's really lean into those B's. He was intense. He reminded me of an action figure that I would have wanted to have in the 1980s, back when like the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and the He-Man action figures and all of that stuff. Like a Battle Beast action figure would have been lit when I was a kid. I'd have been like, I want Battle Beast when we're divvying up the action figures to play with me and my younger brother. And you're like, all right, we got 26 here. You pick and then I pick. I'm like, fucking Battle Beast, first pick. Boom, your turn, sucker. Take your Master Splinter. I got Battle Beast. Oh, yeah, Mark McKeever. That's actually really cool. The part with the chemical in the water system that affects the visual spectrum of the citizens was unique. It was. It's almost like a Matrix thing or Men in Black thing, you know, where people are having to have fragments of the reality filtered out just so that their minds aren't blown open, or their third eye just doesn't come like boo. Third eye opens up. That's what it sounds like. Boo. Let's see here. Oh, Jay Wolfie. Bye. Good to see you, buddy. So episode 1 was It's About Time. The hulking villainous scientists, the Lollar twins, attack the White House. They are repelled by the Guardians of the Globe and Omni-Man. Omni-Man's son Mark, who is waiting for his powers to emerge, goes to school and defends classmate Amber from bully Todd. After Todd retaliates by punching Mark to the ground until Amber saves him, Amber develops an interest in him. Later, Mark's superpowers finally emerge, and he finishes work to tell his parents at dinner. While Nolan is initially uncertain, he still begins to train Mark on how to use them. However, wishing to emphasize the severity of being a superhero, Mark is caught off guard by his father punching too hard. Feeling hurt emotionally and physically, Mark blows off steam by stopping a robbery in a homemade suit. Very cool, also very Spider-Man. After a heart-to-heart with his father, Nolan takes Mark to meet a superhero suit tailor, Art Rosenbaum, who creates a proper superhero suit for Mark after choosing to call himself Invincible. Later, Nolan entraps the Guardians and viciously kills them all before falling unconscious and sustaining damage from the Resistance. I really like Art Rosenbaum, the idea of having a tailor. I mean, yes, we have seen it in The Incredibles in particular, but Mark's suit is badass. You know, doing unique comic book characters that are iconic is got to be difficult. You've got to find a way to make it distinct. Yeah, the spandex are kind of part of the deal, and they either have a cape or they don't. So really what you've got now is patterns and color choices and logo. And like I said, are you going to have a cape or not? And there's a whole good bit about that in The Incredibles, but Mark's design, Invincible's design, is unique and classic at the same time. And I love that. Like, just simply changing the eye shape and leaving the hair open on the top. And the color design, like the color choices, I think that's an iconic looking character. It's got simplicity and it's got elegance to the design. And I really like the costume. So just putting that out there. I Am Sam says this show was so good. Arjun, I am kind of looking over the episodes right now, so stick with me for a minute. It tends to be where after a series is over, I have no damn idea what episode was what, like what happened in what episode. I remember the whole thing, but I don't remember the breaking points in it. But I did like the way this just made me think. I do love the way that every once in a while the Invincible title card comes up. It's a recurring theme that happens in every episode, and instead of saying Invincible, it'll boom, and then blood splattered on it to varying degrees as it goes along. So I thought that was a cool little detail. If anyone liked the show, do yourself a favor by reading the comic. Every issue from beginning to end, it's phenomenal. That's from Johnny Riviera. Thanks for Rivera. Thank you for the comment, Johnny. Yes, Argent, more blood shows up on each of them. That's pretty cool. So was 8 episodes in a season work for you? That seems to be that norm for nowadays. Did the cliffhanger work for you? I thought the length of the season was great. It's unusual to see a 48, 50-minute animated series. So in that way, you get plenty per episode. They all kind of end on cliffhangers. Well, I mean, just the nature of the show keeps you wanting to watch more and more. And then I felt at the very end, all of those cliffhangers worked in such a way that it felt like our primary story was winding down and at a good wrap-up point. There would have been no way to close all of those threads in the first place. I think it's very ambitious. But knowing who's attached to it, you know, in front of and behind the camera, well, technically, I guess nobody's attached in front of the camera, but or behind the camera. There are people attached, but there are no cameras attached. You know that it's going to go for a while. It's got too much momentum behind it to fail. And then when it's this quality, even better. So I like the length of the series. I don't think it needed to be more or less. And the cliffhanger, I thought, was a good place to end one storyline and open up the rest. So yeah, no complaints there. The clandestine Global Defense Agency nurses, Here Goes Nothing, episode 2. The clandestine Global Defense Agency nurses a comatose Nolan in their secret hospital, but failed to revive the Guardians. Oh yeah, Nolan killing all the Guardians. Holy shit. Okay, so Arjun, one of my favorites is episode 1. I mean, it introduces us to the world, we get to know the characters, and it ends with this huge revelation. So I got to put number 1 on there. These are in no particular order. Episode 2, Cecil has to inform Mark and his mother about what happened. As extra-dimensional aliens called the Flaxons attack, Mark helps the team hold off their forces. When the Flaxons rapidly age and retreat, Teen Team leader Robot deduces this was due to a time dilation difference between the Flaxons' homeworld and Earth. As Mark recognizes Adam Eve as classmate Samantha Wilkins, they share their identities and become friends. The Flaxons return with anti-aging technology, but Mark and the team destroy them. I thought that was a pretty interesting thing. They just instantly age and die. That's something I've never really seen when it comes to time travel or traveling large distances. I appreciated it. Thought that was a kind of cool little thing. Mark skirmishes with Alan the alien, testing Earth's defenses for the coalition of planets. I guess that kind of makes him like a Martian Manhunter or a Green Lantern character. I don't know. I don't keep up with DC stuff in particular. So I don't really know what I'm talking about, but you guys let me know. Is that a Martian Manhunter thing? Alan leaves, bidding a friendly farewell after they do their little battle and talk about the mission. And while all this going on, Demon Detective Damian Darkblood investigates the Guardians' deaths for Cecil, theorizing the killer was among the heroes. Yes, we did. Mortal Kombat was released today. I don't know if any of you have not seen it yet, but I definitely recommend going and checking this out afterwards. Or now, but just know I see you. You know what I mean? If you want to go now and then come and watch this later, you're on my list. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying what list. I'm just saying it rhymes with hit and starts with an S. And it ain't sit. I think I've been specific enough. You know what I'm saying. Let's see. Episode 3. Who you calling ugly? After a televised funeral for the Guardians of the Globe, the Graysons attend the Guardians' private burial with their loved ones. So they've got this huge public thing and then a small intimate thing. We've seen similar things with Superman before, different characters. Cecil commissions Robot to form a new Guardians roster of his choosing. Given his handling of the Flaxon invasion, so Robot merges the Teen Team with the other heroes Monster Girl, Black Samson, and Shrinking Ray. However, Eve immediately quits, still resentful of her teammate and boyfriend Rexplode having caught him cheating with teammate Duplicate after returning from the funeral. When Mark gets Amber's number, he sets up a study date, which gets interrupted for an hour to help Eve stop Doc Seismic from attacking Mount Rushmore. Despite waiting, Amber still stays for their date out of intrigue. When Rex tries apologizing to Eve, she refuses to accept and seeks out Mark, only to discover him with Amber and leaves unnoticed. With Robot unseen help, the Muller twins escape from the GDA prison. Though one sacrifices the other. When Darkblood questions Debbie, he finds Nolan shared little with her. This encounter leaves her suspicious of Nolan, who senses Darkblood's lingering presence. Yeah, Darkblood was a big part of the first half of season 1, and then he just kind of disappears. And if I'm not mistaken, we don't get any tease of where he's coming into the story later on. I don't remember of that whole montage. I don't remember seeing Damian Darkblood, and I feel like he's one I would be looking for because I really did like that character. And he was actually voiced by Clancy Brown, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see. Clancy. Damien. I might be wrong about this. Yeah. Clancy Brown. Let me make sure. I don't want to steer you guys wrong, you know? Clancy Brown, Damien Darkblood. Who's Clancy Brown, you may ask? If so, I'm sorry for you, because Clancy Brown is the man. He was the warden, not the warden, the guy underneath him, like the dean in Shawshank Redemption. He was in a Mortuary Collection, which just now came out on Shudder. He's in Starship Troopers. He's in Pet Sematary 2. He does so much like voice acting. He was in the Venture Brothers, Troll Hunters. I'll just go through a whole list of stuff that Clancy Brown's done. We'll turn this into the Clancy Brown podcast like right now. Let me see how many credits. As an actor, 298 credits. The man works. Shouts to Clancy Brown. Oh, Mark Hamill voiced the suit guy. I didn't know that. That's great, man. Mark Hamill's another fantastic and prolific voice actor. Props to him. Props to him. Let's see what else is going on here. Good stuff, I Am Sam. Appreciate you saying that. Episode 4, Neil Armstrong, Eat Your Heart Out. This is the one, I believe, where they go to Mars and encounter that crazy species of aliens. It's also where Cecil banishes Darkblood to hell. So maybe that's the end. Unaware that the detective hid his notepad in Debbie's closet. So maybe that'll come back. Oh, no, Debbie finds it. That's right. Yeah, I can't wait to see what happens with Damien Darkblood. Let's see. Nolan and Debbie vacation in Rome to rekindle their relationship, and he manipulatively regains her trust with half-truths. Yeah, she's starting to kind of pick up the sniff of bullshit, and this is where you really start to see that there's definitely intent behind what's happening. He's knowingly being misleading and manipulative. It's not like at first there's the potential that maybe he was brainwashed. You keep wanting to hold on to that, like maybe somebody else was in control of him, or it was like a twin. You know, it's not that. You don't know what the fuck's going on, but still trying to figure it out. She's still trying to figure it out. So many famous actors and the voice talent in this show. Yes, there is. And I keep on learning that there's more and more. I'm going on about Clancy Brown, not even realizing who else is in there. Number 5, That Actually Hurt. After Debbie finds Darkblood's notepad, her suspicions return, and she locates Nolan's bloodied super suit. Man, I normally can read all right, but it's just not happening right at this particular moment. I'm going to blame it on the writer of this Wikipedia entry. Fuck it. They're not here to defend themselves, you know what I mean? This writer sucks. Let's see what their name is. After she finds, so Robot approaches and a restored Mahler twins with a job offer. Mark promises to help Amber at a soup kitchen. However, he must also help superpowered Thug Titan defeat his boss. Yeah, and they say it right there in the synopsis, superpowered Thug Titan. But you don't know that at the beginning. You're like, oh, the guy's trying to protect his family and screw over this mob boss who screwed over his life or whatever. That's a sympathetic motivation. So Mark unwittingly goes and helps him on this huge, ploy to overthrow rivals. So Mark actually kind of became an accomplice unwittingly, and I thought that was pretty cool. Machine Head, who predicted their attack, hired multiple villains for security. And when the Guardians arrive to help, they are horribly brutalized by Thok the Battle Beast, which prompts the rest of the Guardians to act as a team finally. Seeing the other villains swiftly defeated, Thok abandons the battle due to ignominy. What the fuck does that word mean? Look at me learning stuff. Ignominy. Public shame or disgrace. I guess I could have used context clues for that one. Arjun, very unlikely that we will do a My Friend Watches for this series. I mean, it's always a possibility, but I doubt it. I don't see that happening, but I'm not the person that makes those calls either. Humbled by this week's long recovery, Mark makes amends with Amber before they accompany his best friend William on a weekend visit to see his crush Rick. This is You Look Kinda Dead, and this was also a really good episode. This is the one where we see the cyborgs. And I thought it was dark. You know, they ended up taking Rick and turning him into one of these cyborgs. I thought that was pretty shocking. And Cecil obviously takes an interest in the technology. So he ends up apprehending the guy who's creating them and basically making him, against his will, become a employee, I guess. I don't guess employees get benefits. So, slave? I don't know what. Servant? I don't know. And this is all in episode 6. You Look Kinda Dead. I think I said that a second ago. But I like this episode a lot. I don't know if I would put this one. I think I would. I think I would put... Oh, wow. They're all really good. I think I want to go 1 and 5 and 8. I got it 1, 5, and 8. Oh, Arjun, you think that number 6 is You Look Kinda Dead is your number 3 episode. It is really good. It's really good. Man, that whole Battle Beast fight sequence was sick. I'm like walking away from this a huge Battle Beast fan. Have I told you guys that I would have liked to have his action figure back in the 80s? I feel like there was a Ninja Turtle that was similar to Battle Beast. Lion Ninja Turtle. It wasn't a lion, you cheetah. It wasn't a cheetah, why you lying? God. Cut that shit out in post. There was a lion Ninja Turtle, but it didn't really look like it. But do you remember Battle Beast? That's right. There actually were Battle Beasts. And he looks just fucking like one. All right, you guys, you got to see this. I mean, the main Battle Beast looks almost exactly like Battle Beast. Man, trippy. Where is it at? Battle Beast Toys. Lion. I think I can just bring it up on the stream here. However, it would probably be easier to just look it up on your own at this rate. And here we go. Anybody remember Battle Beast? Is this worth it? No, number 5 is my number 3. You can see how this would get confusing. Whoa. There's like a really, really tough version of that Lion Battle Beast. All right, so I'm going to add an image here. If I pulled up a picture of a butthole, it's like, surprise. Right? That looks a lot like Battle Beast. Battle Beast. All right, they don't look anything alike, but it's a similar vibe. You get what I'm saying. It's a similar vibe. Given an eye patch and a completely different outfit, different color hair, skin color, different everything. It would be exactly like him if he were completely different. That's what I'm trying to say. Excuse me with the scratchy throat. Battle Beast. Battle Beast. Battle Beast. It is kind of crazy. They're both called Battle Beast, so give me that at least. Battle Beast, you have earned a special place on Streamlabs. Wow. This is really important stuff I'm doing here. Battle Beast. All right, what am I doing? Here we go. I lost people with that one. People are like, all right, I'm fucking done. All right, good try, dude. Good story with your Battle Beast thing. You look kind of dead. We talked about that one a little bit. Then We Need to Talk is the penultimate episode. It's the one before the finale. And this is the one where the Rudy clone reluctantly euthanizes his progenitor. Man, all these words. That was a crazy one. That was a crazy scene. That whole situation was nuts. I wasn't expecting all of that for Robot. The new Rudy leaves for a Guardian summons. He explains himself to the team, who are taken aback by Rudy's revelations before learning the truth about Omni-Man and realize their predecessor's fates. Yeah, dude, when you find out Superman is gonna murder you, that's when shit gets real for you. That's when shit gets real. Cecil buys time by taking to Nolan before retreating to deploy Sinclair's Reaniman and a modified kaiju to kill him. Always cool to see a kaiju show up in anything. This is like this big Cthulhu elephant-looking thing. Good shit. Good shit. And the Reanimen are creepy too. Like, they're just morbid. They're a lot like RoboCop, but it just seems more morbid. Or like, what's the judge that's not Judge Dredd? You remember they were like, I don't know that comic book super well, but I remember there was almost like a corpsey version of that, and that's a lot what these look like. I would pull up the picture, but you know how that's all time consuming and not really worth it in the end, because you're going to lose like 3 subscribers. At least 3 viewers. What if they unsubscribe from the channel? I don't think I'd blame them, you know? Mark McKeever. Opinions of using Seth Green's Alan, the alien character, as a device to speed up the plot. Just showing up, tell a story, and then bailing. Yeah, he's a little place to provide exposition. I think I like him, and I like his I don't know, niceness, his relatability. He's just this easygoing Alan the alien, and I think that's a good point. He kind of is a character to speed up the plot. At least catch the audience up, let people know what's going on. The whole kaiju thing, when Nolan fights him, you barely see anything. They hint at it, then they say it isn't dead, but we don't see the fight. I was rewatching it and was like, oh shit, okay, there it is. Interesting. Yeah, I don't remember too specifically a lot of the fight sequence, but I do remember them fighting, and then Mark comes flying in with Alice, and they all are fighting, and then in the control room, Cecil's kind of arguing with the wife about, you know, whether or not they should take down the targets, how they can't really stop it, and That particular episode ends with Omni-Man ripping Immortal in half right on TV in front of everyone. Kind of similar to the whole, what's dude's name? John Walker thing in Captain America. But this is when everybody learns, oh shit, Omni-Man ain't a good dude, because Cecil's also able to reanimate Immortal, who Omni-Man had already killed at the beginning. I get into a fight. I mean, dude's back alive for like all of 15 minutes before he just gets fucking bodied again. And you're like, all right. Well, Mark sees all this happen, and that's like the end of the episode, is everybody being like, oh shit. And then Nolan's like, can we talk? It's all covered in blood and gore. Mark, we need to talk. All right, cool, baby. Oh, I am Sam. Okay, yeah, I don't remember that at all, I don't think. I need to, because yeah, when it happened, I was like, oh, they must have fought before the show ever started or something. So yeah, interesting. I see what you mean. Episode 8, Where I Really Come From. After Nolan reveals he's an infiltrator for the Viltrumite Empire sent to conquer Earth, he fails to convince Mark and effortlessly outmatches and brutalizing him, devastating Chicago and slaughtering thousands. Dude, this whole first 15 minutes of the finale, maybe 20 minutes, is insane. It's like Man of Steel in a lot of ways. Only you actually see the casualties, as opposed to just it being implied that there's probably people in there. You actually see bodies flying out of windows of buildings and vehicles, and people just getting crushed under the weight of debris. And I mean, people are getting fucked up, and Mark realizes like he's kind of responsible for this. I mean, he's literally being used as a battering ram to destroy people, whether he's getting just batted down into Chicago and just destroying blocks of city street and anybody that's in his wake. At one point, Omni-Man grabs him by the head when they're in the subway and says, basically, you're going to learn your fucking lesson that these people are worthless, and just like holds him up, and they're going through the train. The train's just splitting around them, and people are just hitting them like bugs on a windshield, just fucking viscera flying everywhere. You're like, holy shit, dude. It's so grim. And I've heard a lot of people like, this is what it would really be like if superheroes were in the real world. And it's like, I don't know about that. I think it's hard to say what it would be like if there were superheroes in the real world, but I certainly don't think it would be two-dimensional animation. You know? Crazy people. Like the world would just turn into a cartoon all of a sudden because they're superheroes. Give me a break. Oh, I'm stupid. Anyways, smart humor, guys. It's smart humor. So if you don't get it, I'm not saying anything. I'm not implying anything. I'm just saying it's smart humor. So if someone doesn't get it, then that, I'm not, you know what I mean. You get what I'm saying. Dude, it's so crazy. Holy fuck. And Nolan's just like, look, you're a Viltrumite. You don't have any relationship with these worthless humans. They're only going to live for, 100 years. You're going to live for 500 years. Everything you love now is inconsequential because it's not going to be here anyways later. In 500 years, what are you going to have, Mark? And Mark's like, I'm going to have you, Dad. And you're like, oh, fuck. That shit hit. And it for him, too, Omni-Man's like, oh, damn. All right, bye. Shoots off into God knows where. And that's like the end of that whole conflict. You're like, holy fuck. I mean, again, Mark's in the hospital, just crushed. So beat up. I mean, dude, Omni-Man wrecked him. It was so tough to watch. And for an animated series to be able to pull that off, I think is very impressive. Where you feel the blows, I felt bad for Mark, dude. He is so pummeled at the end. And then the next day, he's like, I'm good. I don't know how long had passed. Yeah, I don't know. Pretty crazy stuff. I know his arms flying through people as Mark is trying to save them. Yeah, and then there's the scene where he goes to save the woman and her child, and then as the building falls and he's still holding her hand and he pulls it up, and I knew it. I was like, oh yeah, that's a severed arm. There's nobody connected to the other side of that thing, and sure enough, like Jaws or something, you know? But good shit, dude. Just like, it's really good. And obviously because it's animated, you're able to pull off things at a scale and a scope that would be very difficult to do on a television series budget, regardless of what streaming service you're on. That would just be a lot of money. But I think that it's excellent. I think that moving forward, it's going to just get better. I hope. You know, Boys Season 2 was very, very good. So I am optimistic about the future. I felt like The Boys Season 2 opened up the world even more, introduced us to other great and terrifying characters, was able to, you know, continue to develop everything that we knew so far. And with Invincible, I just believe that there's so much story left to tell. And I don't know the comic books, so I'm kind of approaching this blindly. And I've been a very big fan. I can't wait to see what season 2 and 3 look like. Can't wait to see how we start to deal with the consequences of things that have happened. Because I have a feeling that if Omni-Man comes rolling back with the Viltrumites, what do you even do? I guess you try to get the council from outside of our what's Alan the Aliens organization, whatever they are. You get what I mean. Bring in all of these other races of people. Okay, check this out. Stephen Yeun, J.K. Simmons, Sandra Oh, Mark Hamill, Seth Rogen, Gillian Jacobs, Andrew Rannellis, Zazie Beetz, Walton Goggins, Jason Mantzoukas, Mae Whitman, Chris Diamantopoulos, Melise Zhao, Kevin Michael Richards, Gray Griffin, and Mark Burkholder join the team. Join the cast of the series. That's a fucking stacked cast. Apparently, it's got a 96 on Rotten Tomatoes. Let's double check and make sure that's still correct. I know it's got a high score on IMDb, and it's worthy. It's worthy. I think it ended up being very, very good, very put together in a way that was impressive. Foehead, welcome to the conversation. I found Invincible better than The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I wish they would not have aired it on the same day. People don't know how great this show is. Yeah, that was a shame that they were airing on the same day. Not because, well, I mean, you can go back and watch them afterwards, but there's so much of a crossover audience that it was a shame for Invincible to get stuck in that position. I mean, maybe they wanted it to be counter-programming, but let's be real. If the motherfucking show's got people in superhero costumes, we're all watching it. This is kind of how it goes. I wouldn't have watched it if it wasn't good. Mark McKeever, could you imagine that bloody scene in live action? Will something like that be accepted in a mainstream movie? Yeah, I don't know. It hits so different in animated form. There's a movie, though, Mark, if you want to see similarly staged violence, and it's such a small budget movie that it would never matter, but Midnight Meat Train. It takes place on a train. There's lots of freaking splatter, slow motion, blood, gore, and all that shit flying around. Vinnie Jones, the guy from Snatch that plays Bullet Tooth Tony, is in it. It's based on a Clive Barker novella or short story, and from the Books of Blood. And I think that it shows what that would look like in live action, maybe closer than you think. It's kind of interesting how similar it is. It's just wildly different from the Marvel stuff, says I Am Sam. Absolutely. It is very different. Arjun said, I also thought it was better than WandaVision. Okay, so you guys are big fans of this, or just not as big fans of the other shit. I could see that. Jared Adams, I agree. Midnight Meat Train does sound like a porno. More specifically, a gay porno. Right as I said gay porno, I got an error message, and it said YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. They're like, now that we're talking about porn, we're going to just muck up your streaming. So yes, it has a 96 on Rotten Tomatoes on the critic side and a 91 on the audience side. Surprised it only got a 91 on the audience side. I wonder what that's... Not that that's not a wonderful score, but audiences tend to either go 100 or 0%. Because everybody's hyperbolic as fuck. Every movie's got to be the greatest or the worst. Most of these reviews really like it. Let's see if I can find a negative one in here. See why the people don't like it. I know a lot of people don't like Rotten Tomatoes and don't trust critics and all that, but I find it just another valuable resource. You don't, let it be the end-all be-all of your life, but taking in information from multiple sources is, it's how you become a well-rounded human being. Kevin Garlington in the chat. What's up, dude? Love this episode. Hey, what's up, man? Appreciate you stopping by. Yeah, it was really good. I was mentioning up at the top, I don't know that I would have watched this series had I not have been doing it for Let's Go Pensacola, 4 p.m. every Saturday, right on 92.3. And I do that weekly with my buddy Julio, and he was the one that was like, we're going to do a weekly recap of this. And I'm like, fuck, I guess I'm watching it. And every episode, as it ended, I was like, oh, wow, that was actually really good. And then the next week, and I'm like, oh, God, I got to watch Invincible again. I got so much shit to watch. And I would watch the episode, and I'm like, oh, this was really good. And then by like episode 3 and 4, I'm hooked on it and ended up thinking it was great. But I don't think I would have watched it otherwise, just because the world is not lacking in superhero-related content. But I ended up thinking it was great. IMDb 8.9. Thanks for letting me know, Fohead. Yeah, very high reviews. Okay, here we go. Nope in. 1.5 out of 5 stars. Let's see what they have to say about this. This is fun. Let's listen to other people crap on the movies. Let's see. Invincible is trying desperately to be an 80s and 90s Spider-Man, but has half the charm and is a third as funny. Half his charm, third is funny. A lot of fractions in this. The character growth is window dressing at best. 7 episodes in, and we still don't actually know anything about anyone other than that some people have powers, people find relationships difficult, and other commonplace issues. I actually started fast-forwarding past all the relationship drama parts because the dialogue is almost cut and paste for 4 episodes. In short, it's a humdrum show that we've already seen about Homelander being Superboy's dad and a group of easily forgettable heroes fighting nobodies for no reason. 1.5 stars. 1.5 stars. Oh, good. Kevin Garlington, I'm so glad you're watching. I read every episode of this book, and let me tell you, this is only the tip of the iceberg. That's what I'm talking about. Sir John of Norway, welcome to the conversation. Howdy back at you, man. We are going Texas in here. Just want to let you know that. Let's find another crap on review. Oh, here we go. 0.5 star out of 5. From Selena M. This cartoon is ridiculous. This is what we've been reduced to. Period. Oh, this is what we've been reduced to. Not a question. Got it. All right, so that's a good one. Let's see here. What else? I don't mind the negative reviews. Like, if you guys are first-time viewers, welcome to the conversation. Welcome to the YouTube channel. But if you've been here any substantial amount of time, I usually get kicks out of hearing people's contrary opinions. Like, if I love something, you can still hate it, and I actually kind of enjoy hearing that perspective every once in a while. So I don't mind listening to people crap on stuff that I like. I just think it's fun for anybody to be super hyperbolic. Like Toto here, 1.5 stars. Overrated because of some violent action with a lot of blood. Boring dad, son, boyfriend, girlfriend story. Do you think violence is why it's rated so high? As I'm thinking about it, I'm like, I really do like the violence. It's like my buddy wrote those reviews, says Mark McKeever. Let's see here. We got to have at least one or two more gems. I mean, for it to drop down to a 91. Half a star from Matthew L. Take your L, Matthew Lane. You think it's Matt Lane? You think Matt Lane Fitness is actually watching all of this stuff on the sly? Like the whole My Friend Watches thing is just for views? And that Matt Lane is actually a professional film critic and that we've all been duped this whole time? Yeah, I didn't either. I was just seeing what you thought about it. That's probably not the case. Let's see. Matthew L., half a star. A third-rate narrative composed of derivative characters and a trite storyline that would have been old hat a decade ago. A completely tacked-on, superfluous addition to a popular culture already overstuffed with superhero media. Marvel, this is not. DC, this is not. It's not even Dark Horse. Skip it and don't think twice. Dark Horse was like, oh, fuck. We made some good comics. We did a couple good comics. Arjun, I don't think so. I love the show without the violence as well. All right, fair enough. I am Sam. It's like these people writing reviews don't even like watching content, period. I don't know what they expect. Like, what do you think you're going to get out of it? Erik C. I already read the comic, so honestly, I didn't like it, and I like the series at the same time. I didn't like it, and I like the series at the same time. The fact is that the series was not made for the fans of the original. It was made for people who have not read Invincible or are militants. Militants will love this series. What made me the most angry is how the protagonist is different. In the comics, he's a very popular guy and good with people and has several tributes to comics. In the series, he starts out as a shy guy, and his mother's asshole says that. I don't remember his mother's asshole saying anything. That must have been a post-credit scene. And then it gets better little by little, and the series loves to belittle him for reading comic books or making fun of his own comics. That's too much anger. That is too much anger. Hey, thanks for coming by. Appreciate you coming in and being a part of the conversation. Sir John of Norway said the gore is made into a new kind of shock factor that really makes you go, they can't top that. And then new episode says, hold my beer, basically. Yeah, there is an element of that. And the train scene was wild. And I know that kind of sounds diminutive, but I think as long as there is like a wow factor or something that keeps you coming back, that's good. I don't think it's just the gore. The gore alone does not get you there. There's lots of gory shit out there that everybody knows sucks. I think the violence, this is from Kevin Garlington, I think the violence helps, but the story is about a teenager who gets powers. Have to give Invincible time to grow as a man. Oh. So, okay, I didn't know we were going into the, like, that much time was going to pass throughout the series. That's cool. I know they did a crossover with Spider-Man, which I also heard was cool. So most of the audiences liked it. Okay, here's from the Hollywood Reporter. Pity Mark Grayson, the 17-year-old son of Omni-Man and regular-powered human woman. Mark has spent the bulk of his adolescent years being menaced by bullies, hearing about his best friend's crush on his Silver Fox dad, and waiting for his superpowers to kick in. King Dingaling, off topic, but just finished watching My Friend Watches Mortal Kombat. You said you really like Sub-Zero's actor. You should really check out the show Warrior on HBO Max then. So good. Dude, King Dingling, I've been hearing that, bro. I've been hearing that. I appreciate you stopping by and leaving a comment as well. That's always appreciated. Love seeing new faces and names in the chat. And I love Joe Taslim. Yeah, dude. I think The Night Comes for Us and The Raid are fucking sick martial arts action movies. So I would definitely enjoy checking that out. And everybody I've spoken with said it's good. I've got HBO Max. I think it's time for me to check this out. I appreciate the suggestion. Sir John of Norway, it's morally weird. Oh, yes. Yes. The storyline they did with Robot. It is morally weird. I kind of appreciate it. But it's like, it's all very morally ambiguous. Everything is, especially when you consider like the age that the characters are versus the age that the characters look. And you're sitting there thinking about it like, is this okay? I don't know. It's interesting though, right? It's like the Jon and Daenerys thing. Is it okay? Who knows? But it's interesting. Well, maybe that wasn't very interesting, but some of Game of Thrones was. It's like earlier seasons of Game of Thrones were. Mark McKeever says, did you notice that the title card got bloodier as the series progressed? Episode 8 was saturated with blood. Yes, yes. And I like that. I mean, there were a couple little hooks in it that made it stand outside of other films or, other series in the genre and other animated stuff in the genre. I ended up really coming down on the side of liking it. Foehead says, I like both The Boys and Invincible. Invincible comics came out first, so no, it's not a copy of The Boys. Okay, I wasn't sure which one came out first. I feel like they both came out around the same time. I want the best for Robot, but goddamn, help me out a little. Yeah. Yeah, man. Let's see. The Boys comic. I'll really slow down the momentum of my own show every once in a while. I'm like, I'm going to go take a side quest and learn some stuff. 2006 for The Boys. I think Invincible was like 2005. $2002. Okay. Yep. Yep. Good bit of difference. For me, that seems like about a day of difference, but 4 years gets to be shorter and shorter as time goes on. Then you eventually die. Anyways. Hope you guys are enjoying your Saturday so far. Just wanted to stop by and talk a little bit. What a fucked up way to end the episode. Talk a little bit about Invincible with you. It's been a pleasure. It's always good to have a conversation about the series that you guys are excited about, the series that I'm excited about, all of that good stuff. And if you want to consider supporting a small little YouTube channel, do me a favor, head over and check out the Patreon page. There are multiple tiers that you can take a look at, decide which one is right for you, and then when the time comes, you can consider supporting independent art. That would be greatly appreciated. There's links for all that stuff down in the description, as well as my social media if you want to give me a follow over there. If you enjoyed this video, do me a favor, help me get the word out. Click the like button. It helps with the algorithm. Leave me a comment if you're checking this out in playback. It's always good to carry on the conversation. And until next time, wait, do I have to rate this? I guess I have to rate this. On a scale of 1 to 5, I give Invincible a 4 out of 5. Let's go. 4 out of 5. Let me know what yours are, your ratings are in the comment section down below. And until next time, I'm Jeremy. Be terrible. Peace.